broadcasting icon, Hall of Famer in every respect, great friend, and there's a short list of people who are responsible for whatever my career has become, and you are on that short list because you entrusted me with the wheel and the pedals and the stick shift to your show back in 2010 when I had no business doing it, and through just flat-out repetition and determination, I figured out, I think, maybe, how to do this thing. So, Dan Patrick, a big part of my career, and happy to have you here with us today before we hand the baton to you, as we always do at 9 a.m. Eastern.
Well, your preparation has changed, I'm going to guess, because I think you brought in a couple of notebooks full of stats and information. Yes. And my guys were like, whoa, like you're studying, for the bar. And but look, you understood it, you got it, and I'm happy for your success.
Dan, it's funny. I had no idea what I was doing. I don't know if I ever told you this story. July of 2010, driving in my car, get a phone call from, and I can't remember who it was, somebody whoever it was that used to call me up to ask me to come on the show 13 years ago. And so they call me up and they say, Dan's off next week. Are you willing to come on the show? And I thought it was along the lines of, hey, are you willing to do the show with the guest host? Like, yeah, whoever it is. Yeah, it's fine. I'll do the show. And it like became an Abbott and Costello bit where I finally realized they were saying, no, you're going to host the show. It's like, no, I'm not doing the show. No, you got the wrong guy. So I decided to do it and it all worked out. But yeah, I remember the first time I came to Milford, I kept sending Paulie emails with stuff to print out. And yeah, I was grossly overprepared. And now, as the producers of this show can attest, I am grossly underprepared. So
there's a happy balance in there. Sometimes you can be so prepared and, you stumble upon topics. Like today, a topic that we have is Bill Belichick. Like, can you ask a question to Bill Belichick at his press conference today that may have something to do or insight into his future? Is he enjoying what he's doing? They're not going to make the playoffs again this year. Could he be on the hot seat? Is it disrespectful to bring up something like that? Whereas Matt Eberflus, you could bring that up to him. In fact, you could bring it up to most coaches, but you can't do that to Bill Belichick, can you?
Well, and there's a reason why they won't do it. And this is one of the problems with press conferences, Dan. You've got 20 different people in the room, or however many are there. But if there's a tough question to be asked, it's so easy to just say, I'll let him ask that one. I'm not touching that one. And then it never gets asked. But I know from talking to Tom Curran, who's been on your show many times, and I think guest hosted in the past, I think one of the concerns among the folks who cover the Patriots is if there's that one question that you ask Belichick that he doesn't like, you get nothing out of him the rest of the press. It's done. It's over. He gives you nothing after that. So there really is a balance there. And it becomes a little personality cultish over time where you have to be careful. And if you piss him off enough, you get frozen out. It's a dance that you have to do. So they're fair questions, but I don't think anybody's going to ask him those questions today or really any time.
How important do you think it is for Robert Kraft, for Bill Belichick to break Don Shula's record while being a New England Patriot head coach?
Oh, Dan, I'm glad you raised that point because back in Arizona in late March when they have the league meetings and everybody's relaxed and they're available to reporters and they say things that maybe they wouldn't otherwise say, Robert Kraft was asked that question. Will Bill Belichick, and I'm paraphrasing, we've got the post at PFT with the exact question and the exact answer. But the question was, is basically Bill here until he passes Don Shula? Does he have a blank check to stay until then? And the question was phrased that way, and the answer wasn't, hell yes he does, or he can stay here as long as he wants. He's got 6 Super Bowls. It was very, very measured, and it was non-committal, and it's important to me that we win and that we get to the playoffs. I want all of our players and coaches to have stats, but what's important to me is to win and to get to the playoffs. And I saw that as a subtle but unmistakable warning that this isn't some lifetime arrangement, there will be a point where those 6 Super Bowl wins don't matter. And we may be there now. Losing 38-3 to the Cowboys, and there's a rivalry between Jerry Jones and Robert Kraft, not surprisingly. You get embarrassed like that as part of a season where it's all going down the tubes after last year with that disaster that they had with the offensive coordinator Frankenstein monster of Matt Patricia and Joe Judge. I really do think he's on the hot seat. And I do think it could be his last year, and we'll have a mutual parting press conference at some point after the last game of the regular season.
Yeah, there has to be something there brewing because you're going to miss the playoffs. There's no reason to think they're going to make the playoffs next year because the division is very, very competitive. But I'm just wondering, Tom Landry got shipped out because you had a new owner. You had Jerry coming in. You don't have a new owner coming into the Patriots. And if you did, then I think you could see a change.
I think you're right, but we've never seen this before. That's the problem. The closest we can come to, Don Shula wasn't as great for, 15, 20 years after they won Super Bowls, but he had Dan Marino. They were still competitive. They didn't fall off the map. The Steelers with Chuck Noll after they won their 4 Super Bowls, through the 80s, it wasn't great and it kind of bottomed out and they finally kind of just gently nudged him into retirement. But to have 6 Super Bowl wins, and we're just 5 years removed from the last Super Bowl victory, to have it feel like it's just rotten to this point where they've got to do something. No owners had to deal with this, but the New England fans aren't going to tolerate it. At some point, you got to turn the page. I'm sure Robert Kraft would rather Bill Belichick come to the conclusion on his own than have to be pushed. But those comments from March, it would have been very easy for him to say, This guy's going to be the coach as long as I'm here. This guy's the coach as long as he wants to be here. This guy's going to be here to pass. He could have said any of those things. He said none of them. He made it clear the priority is winning. And then in June, he was at something with Michael Rubin from Fanatics, and the issue came up of what would satisfy Robert Kraft this year. He's only going to be satisfied by number 7, as in number 7 Super Bowl win, not 7 wins. He's not going to get 7 wins this year, the way things are going.
Yeah. Can I get a plug-in for the book that I co-wrote? Yeah. Did you get a copy of the book?
I have not gotten a copy of the book yet.
Oh,
I have not.
Mike.
Got to put me on the list.
Sorry. I'm embarrassed. Fine. I'm embarrassed because I did ask you to give me a blurb for it. It's the occasionally accurate annals of football, the NFL's greatest players, plays, scandals, screw-ups, and stuff that we totally made up. And you were kind enough to say some nice things about it. Will Ferrell, Adam Sandler, some of the other guys helped contribute to this. And we discussed quite a few things. We fixed the Jets. We fixed penalties. We talk about what you bring to a tailgate, you should and shouldn't. The butt fumble, the immaculate receptions presented as a sermon. So we have quite a few things that are involved in this. We have some writers who write for The Simpsons, Saturday Night Live, The New Yorker. So I got some people to do some lifting for me. But thank you for your inspiration with Playmakers that I was able to do something that was a little more lighthearted. So after reading yours, I'm like, that's way too serious for me.
Well, you got the right idea, though. If you can find other people to help write it, it becomes a lot easier.
Yeah. Yeah. But I just said.
So we're
yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'll go ahead. The co-writer is Joel Cohen. He writes for The Simpsons. And he had these ideas. He was writing an episode of The Simpsons, and he said, I want you to be an announcer for Homer in a rock skipping competition. And I said, sure, I'll do that. And then he started bringing up these things, the butt fumble, like 5 different things. And he goes, I need an audience here to talk to about this. So it was like a tennis match. I batted some things back to him. And then all of a sudden we said, do you want to do a book together? And I'm like, okay. And he goes, I got some friends who want to help. And then that was basically it. He went to his lab, I went to my lab, and then we just threw it all together. And it's been fun. But as you know, it's a process that you want to make sure you get everything right. Even though we're having fun with a lot of topics, you still have football fans who go, you misspelled Whizzer White. Don't you know how to spell Whizzer? Like, I didn't do the printing here, but You get people who go, you screwed up with something back in 1896.
And how do you balance the lighthearted approach with whatever truths? Because I'm sure at some point there are messages you want to come through. There are opinions that you feel strongly about. How do you strike that balance?
Well, I think we always erred to the side of humor. Let's have fun with it. While it's almost like, when you put bacon on Brussels sprouts, all of a sudden they taste better. So what we try to do is there's information, hardcore information in there, but we kind of dress it up a little bit with fun. So you are learning something. It's just not thrown at you like, it's nuts and bolts hardcore football.
What's been the biggest change in the NFL that you've noticed during your time in broadcasting?
Just how it's metastasized. Like it's when I did SportsCenter and they started to re-air SportsCenter in the morning. And I kept thinking, people are going to get tired of SportsCenter. Like nobody's going to watch in the morning, late at night. And then we realized that, we couldn't give them enough SportsCenter. And the NFL, is modeled after that as well. They're trying to find out where they going to, I'll take it up to the edge here. Nope, we're going to go past that. Let's go to Europe. Hey, Taylor Swift's at a game. Hey, let's have this person at halftime. They keep pushing and pushing and pushing, and we keep consuming. And I think that's the surprising part. When I first started, baseball was the sport. College football might have been bigger. Boxing was big. Horse racing. And then all of a sudden, the NFL turned the corner. The NBA with Jordan and Bird and Magic, that started to explode. Baseball got hurt with steroids in the fallout. But football, it just doesn't seem like anything can stop it. And that to me has probably been the most amazing aspect of the last 40 years of my career.
The first word that came out of your mouth, metastasize, because with this legalized gambling,
I know
they need to worry. They need to worry about a lot of things. The patient may have stage 1 right now, and the patient doesn't care. The patient's just making as much money as the patient can make, and there may be issues, there may be problems, there may be glitches, there may be mishandling of inside information. There are so many different things that the NFL should be worried about. And I don't get the impression they are, Dan. They're in that machine that's got dollars flying in the air, and they're just stuffing as many as they can in their pocket while the dollars are still flying.
And I thought about this. I was in the minority, but when Patrick Mahomes slides and doesn't score, let's say you've got $500,000 on that game, $100,000. Like, I just worry about players being blamed for somebody losing a big bet, or they're making all the money. Why aren't we getting a piece of this if you're a referee? Like, everybody has a price. And I do worry about that. And I remember when the commissioner said, oh, we're not going to be in business. We're not going to be in the gambling business. And I thought, you will be when you find out what your share is, just like all these other commissioners. Everybody has a price. And that goes along with the players, the owners, the referees, and that's what concerns me. I think if there is something that brings the NFL down, or at least knocks it off its, lofty perch, it will be gambling related.
Yeah, look, all it takes is one massive scandal, and it feels like the seeds are planted for something to happen at some point. And it comes from that inherent hypocrisy, where the NFL is grabbing every last penny it can, but it's got its rules. Can't do this, can do this, do as we say, not as we do. And you're going to have people out there who maybe justify things that aren't within the rules. But hey, I want mine. You're getting yours. I want mine. And you're right. That slide the other night, tens of millions of dollars changed hands with that one decision. Smart decision from a football standpoint.
Sure.
But tell that to had somebody who had the Chiefs given the points.
I don't gamble anymore. I did. I was a hardcore gambler, and I gambled when I didn't have money to gamble, which, is even more of a gamble. The bookie, you have to go see the bookie every Tuesday after the Monday night game. And you're handing over money.
Or the
And the guy that I was betting with used to take bets from Pete Rose. And so I was well aware of what Pete was doing while I was gambling. And I'm in college, just out of college, and I finally quit. I did lose a bet. You'll love this. Bears, Packers. All Chester Markle has to do is kick a field goal, Mike. That's it. He kicks a field goal. I win my bet. The Bears block the field goal attempt. Chester Markle picks up the ball and runs it in for a touchdown. And that was the worst beat that I ever had.
Oh, wow. Well, my dad was the bookie. Not
Yes.
your bookie. Not your bookie. Not yours. And
Mike,
it's funny, I laughed when you said you go see the bookie on Tuesday. If you don't go see the bookie on Tuesday, the bookie comes to see you on Tuesday night, or at least his people do.
Mike, I still can tell you the phone number of my bookie, and I haven't bet in over 30 years. But I can tell you his number. There was one guy in Pittsburgh, one guy in Cincinnati, but I can tell you what Tony died at his kitchen table on Sunday morning, my bookie. So I'm like calling and he's not answering. I'm like, God, I can't get my bets in. Then next thing I know, his son said, hey, my dad died. I go, okay. Do you know anybody else I can get my bets in with? That's how degenerate I was back then.
Well, and you know what? I've never gambled because one of the things I learned from my dad, watching him as the bookie growing up, you can't win. Over the long haul, you can't win. You think you can, but you can't. You think you got a system, and you have one until you don't. So it's much easier to make money this way. We're stealing money. We're just not gambling money. We get to talk about sports, and we get to not really work, and we get to write books and have other people write them for us, which is the next level. You're always one level ahead of me. Damn it. My next book is going to be written not by me. Give us one more. Tell us where we can get. Give us one more plug on the way out. The name of the book and where we can get it.
All right. The book that I didn't send to Mike, The Occasionally Accurate Annals of Football, the NFL's Greatest Players Play Scandals, Screw-Ups, plus stuff we totally made up. The foreword is by Adam Sandler, who is a diehard Jets fan, and he didn't know what a foreword was. But I said, he goes, the only forward I know, Danny, is basketball. I go, no, you write it. It comes before the book starts. And he said, can I trash the Patriots? And I said, yes, you can. Whatever you want to do. He goes, I hate the Patriots, Danny. They ruined my life. So Sandman wrote some stuff. And once again, Joel Cohen from The Simpsons, very, very bright guy. So available at all bookstores there. And thank you, Mike.
Hey, before I let you go, speaking of the Jets, do you really think we're going to see Aaron Rodgers again this year? Do you really think we're going to see him?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Regular season or postseason? Regular season?
Well, I don't know if there'll be a postseason, but I think he would want to come to the rescue for the regular season to maybe get into the postseason. But I also think he would like to say, I did this my way with my doctors, and I got back sooner. I think that's really important to him. I know, of course, he wants to play, but I think it's important. I think it's important for him to do it his way.
My good friend Aaron Rodgers. I really do like him now. Hard Knocks made me like him. I was manipulated successfully. I like Aaron Rodgers. All right, Dan. Thanks for everything you've done for me. Good luck with the book. I'll look forward to my copy that I have yet to receive.
Yes.
And we'll watch and listen coming up at 9 o'clock Eastern on Peacock and Sirius XM 85. Thanks, pal. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.